Welcome to Conversations with Zaki Baruti, with your host, Zaki Baruti. And like always, I'd like to give a shout out to those who are very important in my life. I want to put a shout out to the biological family, my biological family, as well as a shout out to the Universal African Peoples Organization family. And last but not least, New Life Evangelistic Center family headed by Reverend Rice. To that end, tonight we'll have another great show. In studio with me is one of our outstanding members of our community who's presently the CEO and president of the St. Louis Urban League. Welcome to Conversations with Zaki Baruti, brother Michael McMillan. How you doing this evening?
Good, thank you.
On that note, we always begin our program out with, for our millions of folks that's listening, for our guests to provide just a little background information about yourself, you know, you're growing up and wherever you want people to know about Mike McMillan.
Well, you can. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for our collaboration. Thank you for your service and dedication. Thank you to Reverend Rice for giving us this opportunity. And we definitely look forward to doing many additional projects and programs and activities in the future. Personally, I'm a native St. Louisan, and I have lived here my entire life, and I'm dedicated to this community, want to see it grow, want to see it be the best region that it can possibly be. I've been involved with the Urban League movement for 30 years. My actual 30-year anniversary of joining the organization is coming up on July 26th. And it has been a wonderful 30 years, and I have really been blessed as a result of that. When I was in college, I received a scholarship to go to college and get my degree in African American Studies from the Urban League, and I had the opportunity to be on the board of directors when I was 24 through 30, and then later the opportunity to represent the agency as their alderman when I was an alderman when I was 25 through 35. And working in that community, in that neighborhood, and seeing it evolve from what it was back then to what it is today, it has been extremely rewarding. And then now, obviously, as the president, I get a chance to work at the agency every day and help us grow our mission and expand our programs and our footprint throughout the community. And we do that with the help of people like you that have really been in this fight for trying to make improvements to the community, and most specifically the African American community, all these different years. So this is a historic moment for us, and I'm just honored to be a part of it at the Urban League.
You did mention, I just want people to be really clear too, in terms of the many hats that you have worn over the years, and you did mention being an alderperson, and that was from the 19th Ward in the city of St. Louis, am I correct? As well as you served in the capacity of license collector for how many years?
So I was at City Hall combined for 20 years. I had the privilege of coming down to City Hall as an administrative assistant to our city's first black mayor, Freeman Bosley, and then left and became Democratic committeeman of the 19th Ward, and then the alderman of the 19th Ward for 10 years, and then license collector. So combined between those three positions, it was 20 years of service at the city, and then the opportunity to be at the Urban League.
Okay, on that note, and just taking a look at the Urban League in of itself, give our audience a perspective of the history of the Urban League on the because the Urban League is a national organization. Share with us the founding and the mission of the Urban League.
So the Urban League is 107 years old nationally and 99 years old locally. And as we were created, we were founded as the actual mechanism and vehicle to, at first, find a way to help African Americans who were migrating out of the South. So after the Civil War was over with, and Jim Crow and all of the various things that were put in place to hinder the growth of the African American community, obviously you had millions of black people leave the South and go to northern cities. So the Urban League was actually created to find a way to provide resources for these people who are now in all of these major metropolitan areas throughout the country. So we in St. Louis are blessed to be the fourth oldest Urban League in the country at 99 years old. But we were actually created because of a tragedy that happened in this region that we just commemorated in the form of the East St. Louis race riots. So July 2nd and 3rd of 1917, there were hundreds of black families that were killed and injured, and thousands of black people that were displaced out of East St. Louis because of the feeling from members of the white community at that time that black people were taking their jobs and taking away their economic livelihoods for themselves and their families. And so you had one of the most significant and horrific events in U.S. history occur. And the Department of War then at that time came in to create the Urban League to provide resources for these African American families and people who had been devastated through this tragedy. And unfortunately, the conditions in East St. Louis were so bad that they could not start the Urban League because the racial environment was so bad in Illinois that it was actually started in St. Louis in 1918. So that's why our actual centennial is next year. But if you look at the events that created us, it was the race riots and the massacre of black people in East St. Louis in 1917 that created us. And obviously after what just happened in Ferguson in 2014 that you played a very pivotal role in, that there are so many things that still have to be done in terms of race relations and having the society that we all want America to be.
Again, just because I'm a history buff, so the Urban League, and again, what year was it founded?
So technically, we were founded in
the National.
The National is 107 years old, and it was founded in New York.
In New York, okay then. And who were a couple of the founders, just real quick? Do you know right offhand?
So it was Ruth Bandish was one. So it was actually a biracial organization like the NAACP.
Right.
George... forgive me, Zaki, so I'm not as young as I used to be.
So we got to be researchers.
Yes,
okay, on that note, though, we'll take a quick break and be right back.
Keep moving, moving, moving. Oh, they're disapproving. Keep them doggies moving. Right. Don't try to understand them. Just rope and throw and brand.
And so a friend and I slept in an abandoned house, and we got arrested.
Move 'em on, hit 'em up, move 'em on, hit 'em up, raw high. Let 'em out, ride 'em in, let 'em in, let 'em out, cut 'em out, ride 'em in, raw high.
In front of the 1411 Locust Building, we have the statue of the homeless Jesus. Neighbors don't want the homeless around. They want to do everything they can to drive them out of downtown. And I saw this happen firsthand. I'm Larry Rice, director of the New Life Evangelistic Center, how the system can actually create chaos and then want to blame it on the work of God. We have all these homeless people that have come forth and testified the fact that the police actually encouraged them to go and sleep between the 14th and 15th block on Locust prior to the cease and desist order taking effect at the New Life Evangelistic Center. They let them sleep out there for weeks, even months, and then once that order was given, they went out there with the police sweep and chased them all off. Well, now there may not be homeless people around there, but they're sure hurting, and they're in many different locations. We believe that it's very important that we can get back into this 1411 Locust Building as soon as possible, and that's why we have all different types of repairs that are taking place. The problem is if the city keeps adding to their list because they're trying to perpetually keep us out, then we're going to have to go to court with this whole issue. That's why I'm asking for, number one, your prayers, and you continue financial support so we can make the repairs, and number three, a legal process that's so absolutely essential at this time that's far beyond the 1411 Locust Building. It relates to groups all over and churches all over that want to reach out in response to the scriptures and let the light and love of the homeless Jesus, who said that foxes have holes and birds have nests, but he, the Son of Man, had nowhere to lay his head, to live through them. We're striving to do that in New Life Evangelistic Center. Even though the 1411 Locust Building is presently closed, we're doing everything we can to help homeless people. Some we're taking to Winsville, Missouri, getting them into hotel rooms where they're finding jobs right away. Others, we're getting a wide range of training programs. We're helping them with literally hundreds and hundreds of Metrolink bus tickets so they can get out and find jobs and all different types of emergency supplies. And all this is possible because of those of you that are praying, caring, and sharing with the New Life Evangelistic Center. So please send your gift now to P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri 63166.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti, and in studio with me is the president and CEO of the St. Louis Urban League, Brother Mike McMillan. And on the other side of the break, you were just you had a moment of memory lapse,
of clarity.
but keep living.
Yes.
So you were saying in terms of who were the founders, a couple of the founders just on a historic level?
So George Edmund Haynes was the first president of the National Urban League. And then Ruth Standish Baldwin was the other co-founder. And the two of them worked together to try to create an organization that would deal with the plight of the black community in urban America.
Okay, so with that said, the local chapter, I know you've been, as the current leader, has been involved in so many different kinds of activities and different kinds of programs. Highlight a couple of the programs that you're currently undertaking, including, most recently we had on a couple of your recruiters for the program Saving Our Sons. Share with our audience the kinds of programs that you have that impact our community on the positive side.
So luckily we have 30 different programs that really fall into two categories. So they are the immediate basic needs, and then they are the empowerment programs. And we serve people in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, East St. Louis, St. Clair County. And you really look at those 30 programs falling into basic needs and empowerment, because if I came into the office and said, I've been laid off from my job, I need food, I need clothing, I need shelter, I need rental assistance, or I need mortgage assistance so that my house will not become foreclosed upon, or I need necessities for my children, whether that might be basic needs or things of that nature, then we would take care of that. So we have 3 food pantries where we would take care of giving you food to make sure that you had enough to take care of yourself and your family. We have a clothing distribution center that we call the Urban Closet, where we give away clothes for free. And then we administer rental assistance and mortgage assistance to individuals that qualify that have gone through some type of event, whether it was losing a job or just don't have the funds at the moment. And we try to aid them to stay in their home or stay in their apartment. We also assist those through the LIHEAP Energy Program and through our partnership with Heat Up, Cool Down St. Louis. So when people have problems with their gas bill or their electric bill and they can't pay them, or they're about to be disconnected, that we then come in and help save them in that particular instance. And then there are other programs like our annual turkey giveaway for 2,000 families and the 100 neediest cases that we do around Christmas time and the basic needs. And then there's the empowerment side. So how do we give you the resources to hopefully then become completely independent? So Save Our Sons is an empowerment program that takes you through a 4-week course and then gives you the ability to then get a job. And then we want to place you in a job, because graduation is not the goal. Getting a job and keeping the job is the goal for African American men in North St. Louis County and North City. So far, we've been able to graduate and place almost 400 men through that program that came about from the streets of Ferguson and listening to what the young people said they needed and wanted for themselves. We've also been doing employment really since our founding 99 years ago. The Urban League as an organization has placed more African Americans in jobs than any organization in St. Louis. And we're very proud of that history. We also have GED training so that we could get individuals, to make sure that they have their GED and that they can then hopefully go on to some other type of additional educational excellence as well. Scholarships like the one that I received when I was going to St. Louis University to get my African American Studies degree, so that a person can get the resources to go to college and become independent. And a number of other things that are designed to make sure that you have the resources through our business training center, through our employment, through our scholarships and education programs, to make sure individuals have the ability to take care of themselves.
So, and then let me salute the Urban League for the kind of work that you're doing. But if anybody who's listening needs some assistance, what number would they should they call, or how do they get in contact with the Urban League?
So they would call 314-615-3600. And that's our main number for our headquarters. And at that number, you can be directed to any number of the services that we have at the various locations throughout the region. We have 12 different facilities in St. Louis City County and East St. Louis, St. Clair County.
And you know the time it be running on it look like it just goes too fast sometimes when I'm interviewing people. But
Sure.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned Ferguson, and I know the Urban League is getting ready to unveil a very significant addition to Ferguson. Share with
Yes.
our audience how that came about and what you are getting ready to unveil.
Yes. Well, you know, as we talked earlier, obviously as a native St. Louis, and all of us watched in horror as the Quick Trip burned down the day after Michael Brown was killed. And it was really like watching a documentary on the civil rights movement of 50 years ago, but it was literally taking place in our city at this time after this tragedy. And we said immediately, what can we do to try to be a part of the revitalization of Ferguson? So literally the very next day, we were in communication with Quick Trip, and we talked to them about how they could be a part of the positive developments that could come out of this horrific incident, because of course Quick Trip was concerned about their employees and their customers and their facilities and how to maintain their presence in the community, and wanted to do the right thing. And so we worked with them. They went and purchased that actual location, remediated it, removed the tanks, demolished the previous site that was burned down and what was remaining from it, and then gifted it to the Urban League for us to then do a capital campaign to then build a building, because we wanted really that tragic location that was ground zero for all of the protests and the rest that happened in Ferguson to become a triumphant location and really be a phoenix literally rising out of the ashes. And we wanted it to be a community center where people would be able to come for decades and get services and be able to help themselves, help their families, and then partner with other organizations. So the partner that we have that co-owns.
I'm gonna have to, we're gonna have to take a quick break. I'm
Okay.
gonna get it from my engineer, and we'll be right back on that point.
Okay.
Hear this, you who trample the needy and do away with the poor of the land. Let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. You trample on the poor and force him to give you grain. Therefore, though you have built stone mansions, you will not live in them. Though you have planted lush vineyards, you will not drink their wine. For I know how many are your offenses and how great your sins. You oppress the righteous and take bribes, and you deprive the poor of justice in the courts. Seek good, not evil, that you may live. Then the Lord God Almighty will be with you, just as you say he is. Hate evil, love good.
If you're one of the many people that have helped the New Life Evangelistic Center at 1411 Locust, and now you're asking, what can we do to help? Where can we bring our care kits? How can we respond? Well, we want you to know that our new headquarters is at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. The New Life Evangelistic Center's administrative offices there, our renewable energy offices are there. So it's 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. So if you need directions, call us at 421-3020. We're quickly working to get back into the 1411 Locust building. Major repairs are taking place. We want to get the necessary permits in order to get back in, and for our daytime services, we're moving through the courts to do the overnight services, but all this takes time. So in the meantime, while our teams are out on the streets and people want to plug in, they want to volunteer, they want to help, they're asking where can they do it, call us at 421-3020, and they'll give you directions to 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. That's where the New Life Evangelistic Center headquarters is now located. We thank God for those of you that are praying for us during this difficult time, and all of you that continue to support. What a blessing you are.
For just 80 cents a day, you can help many people in need all around the world. That's only $24 a month. The New Life Evangelistic Center wants you to help feed the hungry and shelter the homeless by joining Club 24. For $24 a month, you can be a part of touching people's lives. For just 80 cents a day, you can make a difference in someone's life. Call 314-881-3210 or give online at newlifeevangelisticcenter.org.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zaki, and in studio with me is Mike McMillan, CEO and President of the St. Louis Urban League, and you were on your thought in terms of the Urban League providing a great new addition to Ferguson as the Phoenix. So continue on that thought.
So we also have a historic model in the sense that in the not-for-profit world, we all need to do more collaboration. We need to work together more to serve the community better. So in this building, the Salvation Army came in and is a co-owner of the facility now. So they have the second floor, and the Urban League and our other partners have the first floor, and then we all will share the community space. So the building has 2 classrooms and a community space that will be available for people to utilize as well. And our 2 other partners are the Lutheran Church with their Hope Center, and then the University of Missouri Extension Program. So there'll be 4 of us physically in the building. Better Family Life and Provident Counseling will periodically do events in the community space. So we want it to be a holistic property that the whole community can feel good about, can come and utilize, and that there will be a variety of different services where even though some of us do some similar things, we will not do any of the same programs in that building. All of us are doing different building activities and programs specifically targeted for the people of Ferguson and North County.
So when will that building actually open?
July 26th. It will actually be open and available for the public. And
so is the public, or are you having a
So we're having a big event in August for the community to come in and take tours and get all of the information on the programs and services. So we're having a huge open house in August, and we're working with our partners to finalize a date.
Okay then. And one other major event that is upon us per Urban League is National Convention. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. So July 26th through the 29th, we will host the National Urban League Convention here in St. Louis, which we're very excited about. July 26th through the 29th.
Okay.
And there'll be many different activities that are open for the public to attend. So we will have a job fair that Thursday and Friday at America Center, July 27th and 28th, from 11 to 5, and we would encourage anyone that needs a job or anyone that's looking for a different job to come through, because there will be many, many different employers there, and some of them are doing on-the-spot hiring. So we're excited about that. We want the community to come to that.
What date will that be? Because I know there's a lot of unemployment that's out here.
Yes.
On the job fair in of itself, what date is that?
July 27th and the 28th.
And July 27th and the 28th.
At the America Center.
At the American Center.
downtown.
Okay, everyone, you listening, write that down. July, one more time.
27th and 28th.
A major job fair.
Yes, absolutely.
Where the employers will be hiring on spot.
Some of them are actually hiring on the spot, and there will be many others that will be taking resumes, doing interviews, setting up different interview times after the fact, et cetera. But we last year had some of the companies hire 10 or more people on the spot at the actual job fair themselves.
Well, that's a blessing then. So with that said, what is the theme? Is there a theme for the convention?
Sure, education, jobs, and justice. You know, trying to make sure that the National Urban League and the almost 100 affiliates across the country stay focused on our core mission, because obviously education is key, jobs are key, and justice. So even though in many ways we have achieved a lot legally, there are things and there are people that are trying to roll back some of that progress. So
wait a minute, not in America. You mean tell me somebody trying to roll some of what is America professed to be about?
Yes.
So that is
it's
unfortunate. You're absolutely right. When your theme is education, jobs, and justice. How do you see the public school system from your perspective?
Well, I mean, I think that, quite frankly, the public school system in St. Louis City and East St. Louis and North County, et cetera, all those areas, they need our help. You know, whether we have children in the system or not, you know, as an educator yourself, the school systems need our volunteer time, they need our financial resources, and they need our partnership.
Okay, then. On that note, we're going to take another break, and then we're going to be back to wrap up our conversation.
Thanks to New Life Evangelistic Center, thousands of mothers with children around the world can stay together. They can pursue their educations, and they grow in grace and in the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Thank you to all of our Club 24 members who make this miracle happen.
You can help New Life Evangelistic Center break the cycle of homelessness by providing monies for Metrolink tickets. It's absolutely essential at this time. New Life Evangelistic Center is providing hundreds of Metrolink tickets every week to homeless people so they can get to their jobs, so they can get to their doctor appointments, so they can find a place to sleep at nights. Will you please share your much-needed tax-deductible gift with the New Life Evangelistic Center? Every $30 you provide enables New Life to get 10 of the Metrolink tickets. And you can send those gifts now to the New Life Evangelistic Center at P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166. These individuals are having to walk so far at this moment, and a Metrolink ticket means so very much. And not only does New Life Evangelistic Center desire to provide for the homeless throughout the greater St. Louis area, but also throughout the Springfield community. Your gifts are very much needed at this time. It's New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166. Thank you for praying, caring, and sharing at this moment.
Now is the time to pray. And as you're praying, please remember New Life Evangelistic Center and its daily work among the hurting, the hungry, and the homeless. Remember the Bible, ask and it shall be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it shall be opened to you.
Again, welcome back to Conversations with Zaki Baruti. We only have a few minutes left. I'm in studio with me is Mike McMillan, who's the CEO and president of the St. Louis Urban League. You had made mention the needs for volunteers for education. You had made mention about a major job fair. Is the job fair open to all people?
Absolutely. The job fair is open to anyone in St. Louis that would like to come that, as I said, needs a job or wants to get a different job. And we would encourage you to come because there are many, many employers that will be there, and several of them have made commitments to hire people on the spot.
Now, one other thing that you had mentioned, education, jobs, and justice. How do you see justice from your, and you were in Ferguson, so has America achieved the justice that you think need to occur?
Well, I think if you look at what has happened in this country in the past year, you definitely have every indication that whatever you have achieved and whatever you thought was the status quo can be completely undone. If this past year has not shown people that their vote is important, that getting out and getting informed as to who's on the ballot, from the national offices to the statewide offices to state representative, senator, and all of the local offices, including fire district and police, and the efforts that have to go into your local city council and school board, then I don't know what else could happen that would show people that it's important that we get involved. Because if you don't, everything that has been achieved can be systematically rolled back in some cases by an executive order that wouldn't even require legislation.
So you have been listening to Mike McMillan take to heart what he just said. Everyone needs to be involved to make a difference in our community because of the amount of situations that exist that's on the negative side. To that end, would you again share with the audience how they can get in contact with the Urban League?
So our number is 314-615-3600, and our website is ulstl.com. And on there, you can see a specific subset that deals directly with the National Urban League Convention. So you can find out about the job fair and also our back to school event on Saturday, July 29th from 10 to 3, which is our biggest event of the conference.
So on that note, you've been listening to Conversations with Zaki Baruti. Tell all your friends and family that Zaki is on every Saturday night at 11 p.m. God bless each and every one of you.